Everyone's waiting. You gonna tell them? Tell them how you've been getting your ass kicked. Can't always have good news, dick. But you know, we can have a great story. Let's get into it. Guess who had 4 federal agents show up at his house this month? Not what you probably would have thought. And so I was riding the scooter with my daughter, something we do in the neighborhood here every once in a while. And when I got back and was putting the scooter away, my neighbor, who I have a little bit of communication with here and there, he's super cool. He came up and said, Jake, can I talk to you for a minute? Which was a little unsettling, kind of, in other words, hey, tell your daughter to go inside and so I can speak to you privately. So, you know what he says? He says, Jake, there were 4 special agents here looking for you earlier. Like, special agents? Like federal agents? He's like, yeah, man, they had the body cams and everything. I'm like, okay, thanks for letting me know. And I promptly went inside and shit a brick. And then shit multiple bricks over the next few days until eventually got this business card. Here, I'm covering up the names so no knuckleheads try to reach out. But special agents with the Treasury, Department of the Treasury, Treasury Inspector General for Tax Administration. What? So I ended up calling. His name was Dante. Super cool name, actually. Left his card and I'm like, dang, that's a cool name. I'm jealous. So special agent actually wanted to talk to me about a Form 56. So many of us are familiar with this form, Form 56. We filed it for multiple reasons. This one was a little different. I immediately realized, okay, this is kind of maybe not what I thought. And of course, I thought he maybe had questions about tax return stuff, or, you guys know what I've been into. So he says, you had a family court case not too long ago, and you filed a Form 56 in that case? And I was like, yeah, I did actually. What it came down to was the Form 56 he was talking about, I had not even sent it into the Treasury. It was something that I did in my family court case, because we've all heard that you can make the judge your fiduciary and call him out on being a trustee and maybe bring your case to a halt. Didn't work. What they did was called their guys at the Treasury and said, hey, I got this form, I need you to investigate it. And they were literally just sent 4 federal agents to my house to follow up on a Form 56 that I had sent to the judge and filed in the case. And he was like, yeah, well, what was going on? What was your thought process behind that? And I just told him, I was like, man, you know what? I'd seen some stuff on the internet. I heard that, the judge is technically a trustee, and so you can make him call him out as your fiduciary. And he's like, oh, okay, I got it. So it's just something you read on the internet. And I was like, yeah, I thought I was just trying anything that I could to bring the case to a halt. And that was one of the things. He's like, oh, okay, all right. Well, we're just following up as a courtesy to the court. We needed to make sure that you weren't trying to harass the judge for some reason. The judge is not a fiduciary. You're not supposed to be filling that form out on their behalf and then submitting it into the court. That's just not how it works. Oh, okay, cool, no problem. Was anything else you guys need? Nope, we're all good. Appreciate you returning my call. We stopped by a couple times. You weren't there. Thanks for finding the business card. And if I have any more questions, I'll be in touch, but I think we're good here. I'll close this case. Okay. Now, here's something else kind of interesting. I had not shared this before because I wasn't sure if it was a one-off or not, but this is the second time that has happened to someone in our Decrypted Matrix group, which is really interesting because the first time it happened, it was also a family court case, but a Form 56 was filed along with a 1099-A. I did a 1099-A on the documents that were submitted, and then the 3949-A was submitted in my client's situation, and I had been helping him with some of this. He had two federal agents, Treasury agents, that showed up, called him first and said, "Hey, we want to talk to you." And he's like, "Hey, well, sure, can you tell me what this is about?" And they're like, "No, we'll just come over and talk to you." So slightly different strategy. They were there in like 30 minutes, showed up, knocked on the door, and they were a little more aggressive, but they didn't care about the Form 56. They were asking why he filed the 3949A and then why he filed the 1099As. And it was also under the same premise of investigating potential harassment. So the judge didn't know how to handle the stuff, called his boys at the Treasury and said, "Hey, I don't know what this is, go talk to him about it." So the courts can call in their Treasury contacts and have stuff like this investigated. It was really odd that in my case, the judge was only concerned, I guess, with the Form 56. No questions about the 1099As that I filed, didn't care about that, didn't even bring it up. And I had not yet filed the 3949A. I had planned to, but just never did because other stuff was happening, and that case is now dismissed. But it was super interesting that the two different scenarios, the court had sicked the Treasury on us for questionable paperwork that was signed. So note to self, probably not a good idea to do a Form 56 on the judge because of the experience that I had. Unless you want federal agents showing up to your house with questions, maybe don't do the Form 56 on the judge in your court case unless you really know what you're doing. Maybe that was just because it was family court, which is administrative and not even a real court. Maybe that does work in a federal capacity in an Article 3 court, or maybe it wouldn't even matter. I'm not sure, but just thought you guys would like to know the interesting scenario that happened there. And not just once, but I was the second individual to get a visit from the feds about paperwork submitted to the court, IRS paperwork submitted to the court. So there you have it. All right, the next order of business we have is not necessarily bad, but not great either. Something I was trying to avoid. Everyone knows in the auto finance lawsuit that I'm in right now, suing for tender of payment, we've been going back and forth on whether or not there's a valid arbitration agreement in place. And while this was something I had anticipated would be a bit of a fight, I really felt like my argument was way better, way simpler, and stronger and better cited. But it is a great example of how the bar cards and the judges are working together.